Hi, this is Steph, the Educator with Essential Pedagogy Podcast, and I am welcoming you to our show today. I am really passionate about bringing insiders and outsiders of education in for a closer look so that we can work together to bring a stronger society. And without further ado, I just want to tell you guys that, hey, I am in school. I just finished my first semester and, well, not quite finished. I got a couple of papers to still write. But I have been learning a lot. I am so excited to talk to you guys about some things. But first, I want to talk to you and tell you, hey, I'd love for you to follow me on YouTube under the same name, Essential Pedagogy. I am there. Please follow, and look for things on there because I'm going to start doing some extra things as soon as I get my rhythm down with school. I am working towards my master's educational leadership, and I am trying to get adjusted to my new schedule. I'm trying to figure out these things. But what I've learned so far is that education, sitting on the other side, is tough. It is tough. My schedule is as follows. Class starts at 8:30, and I am in the same building from 8:30 to 4:30. We have an hour break for lunch. We have two, 15-minute breaks, one in the morning, one in the afternoon. And so we are in class all day for 4 days a week. And it is to kind of do a fast track for 2 classes for this mini semester. And so that's how it is. It's really, they do not decrease the work just because we are doing this in 3 weeks. I can assure you they haven't. What I can appreciate, though, is that my school is a PWI. And by the way, happy Juneteenth. Today is June. I don't know. I've always felt torn about saying happy Juneteenth. And if you think about it, it was not a thing to smile about in this country. I'm not going to harp on it too much, but I just wanted to let you guys know that during the Emancipation Proclamation to abolish slavery, not all people got the notice. And so there was business going on as usual. And when we know that abolishing slavery, business as usual, means you continue on doing this because, of course, we don't have cell phones. We don't have, people were not allowed to read. And so, therefore, we weren't afforded newspapers. So, a lot of time passed before some people got the word and was able to live a semi-free life. And I'm going to say semi. So I am torn about using the word happy, but I am grateful that it is being commemorated in this country. We did have class today, so certain PWIs This is not something that they consider as a holiday to take off. So, of course, my grades are dependent um, on attendance. Part of my grade is on attendance. They're very strict on attendance because there's no policy for Zoom or WebEx or anything like that. So I had to go to school. One of my professors allowed us to come in a little bit later, so I'm grateful that in recognition and trying to be honorable, that's what happened. But I want to talk to you guys about higher education. I was listening to NPR like I always do in the morning. Listening to NPR, I heard a snippet of information, and I believe NPR tries to be very respectful and honorable to all cultures and educate those who don't know about certain things and cultures. And I love listening to NPR because I learn about Asian Americans, I learn about Latinos, I learn about Native Americans. I learn a lot listening to NPR. You know, I would recommend all educated people and people who want to be educated to listen to NPR. So today I was listening to NPR and I heard about this woman. I think her name is Eva. Golly, my phone has been acting up like all day today. Where is my? Well, I'm going to talk about my experience with education, and we're going to talk about this lady later because this phone is like, we don't like me today. I don't know what's going on. It doesn't like me. So my higher education, my first week of school, I felt like the at-risk child. We all kind of in education talk about, okay, they're at risk or are at-risk population, and then we sometimes look at our lives and sometimes not, because not all educators come from the same background. But I do know I came from an impoverished background. And so when I look back over my life, I see that I came from a childhood of poverty, and although my poverty was not connected to hunger, but I was definitely disadvantaged to the point where the playing ground of education was not balanced between me and other privileged children. So, and I won't even say that they were all white, but other privileged children. I food. I never felt like food was a big issue, but there were other things in my childhood that would put me in the mind frame that to think that I was know that I was impoverished and know that I was in an at-risk population, especially since I spent the last 2 years of high school in foster care. So that right there, at risk. And I actually graduated with college credit, going into, college with credit, and I was a foster kid. So that's kind of unusual, but neither here nor there. My first week for this master's program, I felt very, 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 very at risk. I could not concentrate 100% on my lesson because I found out on the first day of school that I wasn't actually enrolled. And so then I was jumping over hurdles and obstacles to get enrolled. And it took about 3 days into me going to class, not wanting to risk getting 10 points a day off for missing class. And not 100% all in on my lesson. So I was worried about funding. I was worried about holds on my account and things like that. So I was like, oh my gosh, this is what at risk feels like. Like anything that distracts you from your core purpose of being in school and inhibits the ability for you to flourish and take all the knowledge that you're able to is a reason to believe that there's an at-risk factor. We'll say that. Okay. So I felt super at risk the first week. Once I got everything settled up with finances, I was in full-fledged, but then I also recognized that there were some exposure things that just kept me from being on the same playing ground as other learners in my class. Neither here nor there. I've always been a reader. One thing for sure about me, Stephanie, I've always been a reader, and I've always been diligent in writing things down. So my first day of class, I already had my planner with all the assignments mapped out in my planner, in my monthly planner. I just didn't have like a map of how these assignments were going to be broken down, right, on my daily schedule. But in my monthly calendar, I had the day they were due, what class it was due for, actually color coded them by class, all of the lady professors' assignments and how many points they were worth were in purple. And then the man assignment, his was in blue, and all his point values for his assignments. I think that is what kept me afloat. Just my preparation for the class and just the way that I was thinking about how I'm going to keep all this straight, how we're going to keep all the assignments straight, even though I didn't have necessarily all the books and I wasn't enrolled 100% the first couple of days. I feel like I was ahead of the game in a certain way because whenever something was introduced, I knew exactly what the professor was talking about. I felt a little bit more prepared, but exposure sometimes, y'all, is worth more than a book. It takes time to read a book. And privilege, I see, will give you the confidence that will help you overcome feeling like so exposure will give you the confidence where you won't feel like you're out of place. Anything that you're new at, you're going to feel like, oh, I'm not 100% comfortable. I don't feel like I fit in. I'm not sure if I fit in. I'm not sure if this is for me. But I will tell you this, when you have young people go to camps where they're exposed on being on a college campus, and not only a college campus, but a very elite college campus, and you're running around on that campus in a camp for several days. Some may be overnighters, some may not be overnighters, where they stay in the dorms or a certain bank of dorms. and they stay for a time and they do a certain program. So I've been exposed to kiddos. They look like, to me, middle schoolers or younger, even, in a camp or so on campus. And I say to myself and to others that if your children start walking on elite educational institutions at an early age, when it's time for them to get their masters, their bachelors even, they will feel completely at home. They have the law of the land. They see where the cafeteria is. There's no, oh, where's the cafeteria? Oh, where the greatest worry is, am I parking in the right parking place in the parking lot? That is it. Most of school is a mental sport. And we can alleviate half of the mental sport by properly exposing our children to spaces that their future will be held. So when they get in those spaces to perform on the level that they're supposed to perform in, they won't feel like a foreigner. They'll feel like they're home. So now I understand why one of my cohorts, I'm going to call him Peter. When Peter presented, he was completely at home. He didn't go to this institution in undergrad, but he went to an institution very much like this institution, and he felt very relaxed and at home because this is nothing new to him. Now, I went to an HBCU for undergrad, and now I'm at a PWI, and HBCU stands for Historically Black College or University, and PWI stands for Private White Institution. I go to a private white institution now, and I felt a little uncomfortable, a little out of my element with some things. But I tell you, whenever you're a scholar on the inside and you're a reader, no one can take that away from you. And I wholeheartedly believe that. I preached that to my son and I believed it, but I'm walking it now. I preached that to both my sons and I'm walking this now. I'm walking that if you are a reader, if you're diligent in finding out and reading and following, then you can be successful. Now, I said if you're diligent in following, but you can't just follow blindly, friends. You got to know when the system is against you or is trying to guide you in a certain thinking. Okay. So, and you got to have enough sense enough to recognize that and have your own mind and way of thinking. And I say this with all respect to education because I believe education is one of the greatest gifts you can give yourself. But I listened to this, it brings me back to NPR. So let's see if I can get my little, let me see. Okay. Friend. Let's see if we can get, why can't I get Audible back up? Oh, here it is. So my Audible, okay, where's my library? Okay, so I'm going to tell you a little bit about what I was listening to on NPR. It's called Original Sins. I didn't listen to her book on NPR. She was doing an interview on, is one of the NPR shows. And her name is Eve L. Ewing, and she wrote a book. And I'm not sure exactly if Original Sins. She's written a couple of books because I saw a couple of books on there. And I'm not sure, but I believe Original Sins is about this. It's about the miseducation of people, or the on purpose misguiding of um, Black people and original African Americans and their descendants, their intentional misguiding in schools to create docile minds and peaceful people in the face of injustice. So I felt like it was a very, very interesting topic. The author's name again is Eve L. Ewing, and I cannot wait to dive down deep into her book. I haven't had an opportunity to. I just found out about her today, and I may not even get to her book until Thanksgiving, the way my book list is. And I showed you guys about that 2 weeks ago. But this is what I feel like education should give people. And I'm going to give you a list of 4 things and kind of describe those things. And then hopefully you feel like this episode was very helpful. Education should give us agency. It should not restrict us or brainwash us to think a certain way or another. It should free you to be an independent thinker. It should give us self-regulation, not someone regulating ourselves. We should be able to take ownership over our situation from education. Number 2, we should be able to have discovery of discomfort. So what I'm finding is education is not comfortable. You're going to run into some things that you don't know how to do. And it really is up to you using your agency to reach out and be vulnerable enough to ask for help. Even if it's not from the professor, maybe the TA, maybe your cohort, maybe your just somebody you know. Reach out to them because it is a discovery of discomfort. And that's okay, because I learned a lot of things that's making me uncomfortable, but I have to come to a point where I am coming to terms with that discomfort by making a decision about what I've learned, right? Yeah, you make a decision about, do you agree or disagree? Is this something that is going to govern your life or not govern your life, right? So we ought to lean into this discomfort of the situation so that we can really get the deep learning that we deserve from the situation or from the lesson. Number 3, education demands that we kill certainty. You may walk into a situation or into a class and think you know everything about what this class is about. But friend, I tell you, it wasn't until the middle of this week, and I've been in the class for 3 weeks, that I was like, oh my God, this is what they're trying to teach us. Right? So, but me feeling like I might have been a little more certain about the class, it really, and me being a 20-year veteran and partnering up with a person that has 4 years of experience or even 2 years of experience, I find that the curiosity of them wanting to know more or things or not knowing And having that curiosity, it helped them to discover more and go and probe deeper. So you having certainty about things and thinking you know everything kills curiosity, and it also curtails your learning. So when you're sure about something, your growth is done. I just want to leave it right there. Um, Number 4, the last thing, adaptation leads to evolution. So if you adapt to a situation, and I'm not saying to um, release self agency, because that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about adapting to an uncomfortable situation instead of letting it take control over you to the point where you cannot move forward, right? Um, you need to get to a point where you can reimagine a situation, um, and trying it in a new way. And that's what I mean about adaptation. So when you are feeling stuck, um, if you decide to reimagine a situation or reframe a situation, it can lead to evolution, and then you can forge a new path for yourself. That's what I mean by that. So, education should give us agency. It demands discomfort. It should kill certainty and um, mature curiosity. And it should lead to evolution through adaptation. So I just wanted to leave you with these little, I don't know, tidbits that I wrote down from this first 3 weeks of my master's program. I'm extremely exhausted and I'm wearing my hair back because I haven't really had time to do anything with it. I just want you to know that I'm going to do the best I can to do all the things and do all the juggling. And it does take effort. It takes organization, which I've been trying to be very organized with my planner. I'm a planner girl. I go back to the planner. But guys, I want you to, when you think about Juneteenth, when you think about injustice in this world, I want you to try to curve down scrolling about it and really being about it. I want you to decide to learn something different. And even if it is a podcast, right? I want you to decide to put in something different in a podcast besides the latest social media gossip, but put in something that is going to help elevate our thinking, elevate our minds, and give us new ideas so that we can really change our future. We need to start doing that. We need to start learning more so that we can change our future. And I'm not saying spend a lot of time watching the news, talking about the news. I think sometimes that breeds apathy. What we need to do is learn the truth, figure out what we're going to do about this truth, and then walk out our truth. That's what we need to do, friends. And I want to encourage you. We don't have to do everything at once, but we just take one step at a time, like the 2.5 mile walk that some of us committed to do for Juneteenth, to commemorate Juneteenth. So, Friends, that is my time. I want you to follow me on YouTube as well as this platform. I want to thank my producer. She's been so gracious and patient with me. I really appreciate her. Kesha, you're the bomb. Oh, and guess what? I talked to Monica. We're going to have to talk offline. Okay, friend. So, guys, I just want to thank you guys for watching. And I hope you got something valuable from the podcast. I always try to enrich myself with reading or ingesting something that is going to help myself, the people I love, and other people that I may touch. So until next time, this is Steph the Educator from Essential Pedagogy.